Hi guys, it's James coming to you from my last video presentation. So sad. But I wanted to share my essential beliefs with you. I promise that the backdrop for this Prezi is not just because it looks like the title screen from Destiny. There is an actual reason behind it, and we're going to dive right in so that I can talk about it as much as possible. Though I will try to keep this presentation as short as I can. Because you guys, your time is valuable, and really, how much do I have to talk about anyway? So my first belief, every student can learn. So this is what kind of our shared belief about all students can learn at their own pace and in their own way. So this really addresses the whole multiple intelligences and learning style aspect. Some kids are close to the average, some kids are faster paced, some kids are slower paced. And the thing is that is okay. There's no right or wrong way to learn. And part of what I have to do as a teacher is make sure that students understand that. And part of the way that I do it is that I keep up with the new standards and techniques that are coming out all the time. And then I'm also learning how to better use old ones. Saphir is definitely considered the Bible when it comes to teaching, at least up here in the Northeast. And the principles of learning and clarity strategies that were laid out in that book are going to form kind of the basis and the backbone of everything that I do in my career as a teacher. But the thing is, wisdom is going to be coming from everywhere, and it's really up to me to seek that out for the benefit of my students, especially because I know that I tend to be very verbose. I tend to talk a lot. I tend to rely a lot on text. Because that's how I learn, and that is a bias that I have to be conscious of, and that I really have to work in order to make work, essentially. And also, unteachable, that's not really a thing. That's not part of my professional vocabulary. No student is unteachable. It's just a question of, have you found the right way to approach them, and to frame the lesson and make their learning matter to them. So my second essential belief is education is not limited to the school. The thing is, students are, dynamic, constantly growing individuals. When you get right down to it, school is, at best, half of their waking time. The rest is, personal interests and pursuing their own development, and achieving things that might not even be within the scope of the curriculum. Might not even be part of the school's offered extracurriculars. And students really should be recognized for what they accomplish. If you have students who are musicians, if they record music and they put it on YouTube, have a section of the library website that links to their music. Have the library be the place where students can come to get the school newspaper, or if those are still a thing, publish student-written short fiction on the library website. Recognize what they've accomplished, and make sure that they understand that this is a big deal. And kind of the flip side of that is, even when they're in school, what students manage, what students do, is not always limited to academics. It's a huge social moment for their lives, and there's a lot of stuff that they can do. A lot of trouble that they can get into, but also a lot of good that they can do. A lot of personal projects that they can get an idea for and start working on. And this isn't so much an action item, but just kind of a thing to remember that, when you're really looking to engage students, find those interests and encourage them to, if they can do it in the school environment, do it. Start an after-school club, or or find other students who are interested in, say, making movies and putting them up on YouTube. That is something that classmates of mine did, by the way. But just make sure that there's that connection between the school, where they learn, kind of the classical education, and then also, when they are educating themselves and each other outside. So my third belief, also related to kind of how school functions. My class is the entire school. The library is part of the larger school ecosystem. It's common for teachers to, or at least for teachers who really like the library, to call the library the heart of the school. And, that might be literal based on the layout of the school. My middle school is definitely like that. But obviously it's got a deeper figurative meaning. Teachers have their classes, especially at the grade school level. They have like one classroom of 20 kids, and that is their class for the year. But the librarian, they have this responsibility to a much wider range. They see all of the students, ideally, but at the very least, they see them at multiple grade levels. And so, be aware of that, and be aware that you're going to have to integrate a lot of different levels of expectation into how you are offering services, or rather how I am offering services. This should be about me. This is all about me. How I am offering services to students who come my way. And that is not just for students, that is also for teachers. I am a librarian as much as I work in the school, so, it's my responsibility to be an expert on matters like access and privacy and copyright, to really be the voice of that for students and teachers and, administration alike. And working with the teachers to develop lesson plans to bring them into the library, again, that goes right back to the library being a part of the school ecosystem. And the advocacy involved. Ideally, if you're doing everything right, your action should be enough for advocacy, but we're always going to be dealing with criticism, with people saying that, we're not necessary, or why don't you just have a teacher? Or why don't you just have an empty room with books on the shelves that students and teachers can just come in and take? But, the thing is that you have to be willing to advocate. I have to be willing to advocate, and I also have to believe in the advocacy of my position. So that might involve getting a fresh look at my own career, at why I'm important to the school. And again, that involves collaboration with the teachers, talking to teachers, figuring out, how you are achieving what you're trying to set out to do, and then also, how you're not. And related to not succeeding at what you're setting out to do, my fourth belief is that failure is not the opposite of success. Failure, that old saying, you learn more from failure than you do from success. Failure is just as important a step towards mastery as success is. Students definitely need reinforcement with that. Students need to know that even if they get an assignment, like even if they bomb an assignment, or if they need to ask a lot of questions because they're not understanding, that's not bad. School is the place to do that. And the library is a great place to do that because, if you're involved with lesson plans, and if you know some of the basic stuff of what students are doing, they can come to you to have these questions answered so that they don't feel embarrassed talking to their teachers. I mean, the flip side of this is that, failing because you didn't try is not the same as trying to succeed and failing. So, every test deserves that good faith attempt at success. And that bit's more for reminding me that, if a student's not trying, then we go back to that first belief about all students can learn. And that if they're not trying, it's because they don't understand, or at least they haven't made that connection, or nobody has made that connection for them, that, like, why this learning is important. And then the other key to this essential belief is it's just as much for me as it is for them. You guys already kind of know, but I'm incredibly hard on myself. I inflate my failures, and I minimize my successes. But, I really shouldn't browbeat myself if I don't get something right. If I run a lesson plan and if it goes horribly wrong, I should probably browbeat myself. But if it just doesn't go over how I expected it to, it's always try again. Because, it is a learning experience for both the students and for the teachers. So my final essential belief that I have for today is a student's worth is not determined by her performance in class. Some students benefit greatly from taking notes. It helps them remember. Other students, notes wouldn't help them. They need to be present in the situation. They need to be really paying attention to the teacher. Maybe they have a better memory, or they remember more from visual cues. Some students test well. Other students test very poorly, even though they ace the homework. And maybe the students who test well don't do so well on the homework. So the thing is that no student can be put into a box based on their grade. We have this whole vocabulary about, A students and B students and D students and F students. And the truth is that, even the F students, especially if they show up, if they're showing up, that's, even if they're an F student, that's big. Or at least it is. I should note that I am looking at this from a high school perspective, and so kind of, if I remember correctly, 10th grade is the year that you can drop out. But this ties all the way back to that first essential belief about all students can learn. If a student isn't doing well, maybe they're just not learning right, or maybe even they are learning. They're learning what they're supposed to be, but they're not doing so well at applying. And that's, it's a problem, but that doesn't diminish what they've done, and it doesn't diminish who they are. And at the core of that, everyone deserves a positive experience when they come to the library. Even the kid who just kind of who goofs off all day, who maybe makes loud, inappropriate jokes. Sure, if they're acting up in the library, I'm going to go and I'm going to, tell them to quiet down or ask them to leave, but they'll always be welcome back the next day. Even if they have to, take a walk to work out some of their energy. So, really, this last part is not an essential belief at all, but it is kind of a promise. And that is, this is to be continued. I am not so arrogant to think that I know that, I have learned all I need to learn, and now I am ready to go out and be the best teacher that I can be. Yeah, I'm going to try to be the best teacher that I can be, but the truth is I have a lot more learning to do, and a lot of it's going to come from when I'm actually out there teaching, which is still a little ways away yet. I'm a lot closer now than I was before, but this list will expand as I learn more and as I grow as an educator, and it's going to be refined. Some of these will probably be polished. Some of these might even be thrown out. I don't know. I don't know what's ahead. I don't know how everything's going to come together, but this brings me back to kind of why I chose this Prezi thing. Because this is a solar system. This is everyone working together. This is self-discovery. There's probably... I have these all set up as planets. There are definitely planets of wisdom out there that I haven't discovered yet, and I just have to always remember, at the core, here's the sun. The idea that there is more for me to learn. I can do better. And if I can make my students understand that as well, not about me, but about them, that no matter what, no matter how well they're doing or how poorly they're doing, they can do better, and they can succeed if they try. I think I'll have done a really good job as a teacher. I hope everyone enjoyed it.